This is Danny with QuadLugs, and we're installing the controller. We're going to be putting a NAZA Lite flight controller in this one. It has GPS, does a lot of neat things. There's tons of information on the net, on YouTube. Give it a look. But we'll have some flights with it also in the future, and we'll discuss it. Right now we're just working on getting it installed. Here's the GPS puck, as I call it. There you go. This is some accessories to install it. We're not going to be using these on this particular install, but definitely save it. This is the controller. It is directional, as most controllers. And you'll notice there's an arrow right here pointing that way, and we'll make sure it's facing forward, our direction of flight. But we'll do that in a minute. This will deliver power to the controller. This is some wiring. This is a LED, which we're going to install. And we'll go over the function of that a little bit later. And of course, this is a USB. First of all, we're going to cut the excess nylon screw here, because we want that to be flush. So watch your eyes, and we'll cut these. And we're just cutting them flush. Now on the ESC, we want to remove this red wire. It's really easy. There's a tab. Use a pin or a knife and pull on the red wire and it'll come out. The other thing we want to do, and we'll go ahead and remove this right now, we're going to remove the red wire here also. Again, just lift up on the tab and remove the wire. So this is the controller, and as I was mentioning earlier, there's an arrow and it's pointing forward. So let's start hooking up the ESC motors. And the only reason we're taking a look at the wiring diagram because we already put this top piece on. But anyway, if you look at it, you can see 5 volts. That's the red wire that we took loose. And then you'll see the first wire is black. That's the ground wire. And then after that, the first white wire is going to be ESC 1, 2, 3, and 4. The motor order that needs to be connected to the controller, this is motor 1, this is motor 2, this is motor 3, motor 4. So front right is 1, front left is 2, back left is 3, back right is 4. So the ESC going to motor number 1 is actually this ESC, and it says here that it's ESC 2. So we have the black wire. The first white wire is going to be ESC 1. The second white wire is going to be ESC 2. So we want to put to motor number 1 ESC 2. So the second white wire is going to M2. And we're going to put that at the bottom. You'll see you have 1 row of pins here at the top, 1 row in the middle, 1 at the bottom. Here it indicates the top pin is the negative, the middle pins are positive, and the bottom pins are your signal, and that's where you want it. Okay, motor number 2 is actually going to ESC4. So we're going to connect the 4th wire. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll put that on M2. So motor number 3 is ESC3. So this is the 3rd wire, and it's going to go on the bottom pin to M3. This is motor number 4, and it's going to ESC1. So we're going to use the 1st white wire, and this one has a ground wire, and we're going to hook this on M4. Just like that. M4. Remember we said ground is on top, positive is in the middle, the signal is at the bottom. That's just the way we hook that up. So a recap on this. The 2nd white wire here, that's this one, is going to motor number 1. The 4th white wire here is going to motor number 2. The 3rd white wire here is going to motor number 3. And the 1st white wire, along with the black wire, is going to motor number 4. Okay, that's done. Now we're going to reconnect this connector to the ESC. If you're having a problem installing the connector back into the ESC, just take the top off. It'll make it easier. So this is all the motors hooked up. We'll have wires that came with the controller. We're going to use these. So remembering, as with the motor wires, ground is going to be your ground. The middle is red, which is your positive. And the signal is going to be tan or sort of orange. So they're going to be connected like this. We're going to hook up A, E, and you can see it here. T, R, U, and X2. So this is what it'll look like. You'll have all of these. You'll skip one, which is X1, and then you'll not have any on the very end, which is X3. And make sure they're all the way in. Okay. Next comes the receiver, and this came with your radio or your transmitter. Also here you have channel 1, 2, 3, all the way up to channel 10, and then this says bind or VCC. Once again, orientation on your pins. You have the signal, which this time is going to be on top. The positive or the power is going to be in the middle pin. And the negative or the ground is going to be on the bottom pin. So A, which stands for aileron, is going to number 1, channel number 1. And again, we want the signal on top. Okay. E, which stands for elevator, is going to channel 2. T, which stands for throttle, goes to channel 3. R, which stands for rudder, is going to channel 4. Now the next wire that we have hooked up is U, and that's going to go to channel 7. The next one is X2, and that's going to channel 6. Again, signal is all on the top, which is the tan or orange. Your positive, which is your red, is in the center. And your ground, which is your negative, or in this one your brown, is your bottom pin. We have this hooked up. Now when you connect, and I think on your kit you're going to have 2 release mechanisms, and when they're hooked up it's going to be into 8 and 9. So it'd be 8 and 9. Your receiver's connected. So first thing, we're going to put a connector on this so we can power it up. Again, we were saying we'll power the controller. This will connect to X3. So we're ready to install the controller and make this look neater. We still have a couple items we're going to plug in, but they're all at the top, easy to get to. So with your kit, you have some sticky pads or double-sided tape. And we're going to put 2 on here. You want your controller to be secured very well, because if it moves, your quad is not going to fly very well at all. And let's okay. Once again, you'll see the arrow, flight, direction of flight. This is your front. And we're going to install this onto the orange pad, and we want it to be straight. Straight this way. If it's turning at an angle a little bit, it won't fly very well. Okay? So we'll fasten that down, and it's holding well. The next thing we want to do is mount this. This is going to give us power to the controller. And we'll say we're going to put that about right here. Again, we'll take a sticky pad double-sided tape. We're going to install it here. We'll put a little pressure at the bottom just so we can press it down well. And again, we'll straighten up all these wires a little bit later. This is going to plug into our power supply. And you want to double check orientation of the wiring. Black to black, red to red. Negative, positive. If it's backwards, that's not good. Just like this. So check polarity. Again, we'll address the neatness of this after a while. The receiver, we're going to install it about right here. Once again, we'll straighten up the wiring after a while. So we'll put 2 sticky pads on here. One here and one here. Once again, we'll address the wiring in a bit. Now to install our LED, we're going to take this off briefly. Okay, we pulled this off and we installed another motor mount. So we can install the LED here. You'll want to see this when it's flying. It's going to tell you a lot of information. So it's going to be installed right there. So let's get another double-sided tape, sticky pad. And we're going to install it right there. Also, this is where you're going to plug in the USB to connect it to the computer to set up the controller. This is going to be connected to LED. Right here at the top. There's only one way this can fit in. You'll see the notches. And there we go. The GPS puck also has the direction it needs to be installed. And that's facing, the arrows facing the direction of flight. It'll be going toward the front of the quad. So it's going to go just like that. And it has the tabs at the bottom here where it's only going to allow you to plug it in one way, just as this one. And we're doing the same here. And let's go ahead and get the GPS puck installed. And we'll put, again, sticky pad or double-sided tape. And we're going to put this in about the middle. And we're facing it toward the front. And you want to get this as accurate as you can facing forward. If it's turned to one side or the other, it's not going to fly very well. So, as best you can, facing directly forward. And again, I'm going to hold the bottom of the wood and I'm going to press it down. There. So now we have everything wired in and everything installed. We just need to make it look neater. And we're going to do that in a minute. Also, when we had this off, I ran the antenna wires here. And this is the way we arranged and fastened down the antennas. So for this one, we're just going to tape it down. If you wanted to, you could use hot glue and, you know, put a dab underneath there, and it'll hold it really well. And on this one, we'll put a zip tie. This works very well, and it holds them down very securely. And they're at right angles, and that is really maximizing the antenna. And now it's time to put the deck back on. I forgot to mention earlier, when you do take the deck off, it works out really well just to write front, or underneath here you could write front, and that way you would know exactly how it goes back on. Okay, we're ready to connect it to the computer and set up the controller, and then after that we'll check the direction of the motors, and then after that we'll secure the wires and make this look nice.